Ladies and gentlemen, fight fans all around the world, we're talking some boxing. I'm what you need. If you don't know this channel by now, then check it out. And if you like what you're seeing, don't forget to click the like button. Don't forget to share, subscribe, and you can donate via Western Union, MoneyGram. We're going into the boxing, all kinds of things going on in boxing. First of all, I'm going to start off with corruption in boxing. Now, if you guys want to be a part of this particular guest right now, this discussion, all you got to do is click the link in the chat section that you see right in front of you, the link in the chat section, and you can roll up on here as a guest. But to do so, do understand you need to control your microphone. And the second thing you need to do is be respectful on here. I can only allow 3 guests at a time. So I'm just letting you guys know. All right, now getting into the discussion, corruption in boxing. You guys might want to debate on this. Now, I just looked at Ellie Sebek interview Rolly Romero, and Rolly Romero said something which I thought was very good. Rolly Romero said, if they got a problem with this, we could run it back again. And I think they need to run that fight back again. Rolly Romero got the decision. I thought that Mr. Jackson Marinez, I thought he won the fight. Nonetheless, by 7-5, it wasn't no big margin. It was a pretty slim margin. It was a close fight. I thought Rolly Romero was doing well. He did counter Martinez. He did land the harder shots. There were times in the fight where I thought he had Martinez in all kinds of trouble, and the referee kind of stepped in between. It is what it is. But nonetheless, I got to say, I thought Marinez kind of more controlled the latter half of the fight, whereas Rolly controlled the initial point of the fight. I think Rolly at times was starting to do some things which were really good. And there are points, especially at the end of rounds, where Rolly Romero would just take over the round, really started to pile it on Marinez. But then the round was over, and Marinez did the bulk of the work. So that's why. Now, let me just say, some of those rounds were really close to score. That's why I said it was a competitive, close fight. The thing about it was Marinez was able to take a lot of shots that Rolly was doing to the body. Now, Rolly did some good work. He had a jab to the pit that was really working for him. And the other thing he was doing was throwing some uppercuts, even though most of them missed. But he also landed some shots to the body. I loved the spleen shots that he threw, and I also loved the left hooks that he threw. And when he really hit Marinez with those things, Marinez would clinch up. He also caught Marinez flush with a couple lead right hands. He did a pretty good job. Now, Marinez, on the other hand, was popping him with the jab. He also caught him with some nice lead right hands at times. But for the most part, he was supposed to kind of trying to box him. He would engage. Oh, he always come up that left hook. So if Rolly threw the lead right hand, he would come try to answer almost immediately with a left hook. You could see he planning it, and they had been training for that. So kudos to Marinez. I hope to see Jackson Marinez again. He's a tough fight for anybody. He's got a lot of skill sets in the tank. I love how he controlled the rounds, how he would position Rolly certain ways, how he would pivot off the ropes and clinch with Rolly, pivot off the ropes. I even look at how he put his superior weight and strength on Rolly to sort of smother him and suppress him. He didn't like getting hit by Rolly. I'll be telling you the truth. But he was big, he was strong, and he was long. You know, Rolly had to overcome that length advantage, and he still did a pretty good job. You know, Teofimo Lopez, when he faced that Japanese kid, he had difficulties as well. But Rolly had better defense, I thought. Rolly's defense was really on point. There was a lot of shots that Marinez threw that actually were blocked, caught by Rolly. So Rolly did a great job defensively. Got caught with 1 or 2 punches. Marinez also, he had a different kind of defense with slip punches, where he would dip under punches, roll under punches, and snap back from punches and vary range. So sometimes he's close inside, or sometimes he's on the outside. Good boxing by him, but Rolly was breaking him down as well. I thought, though, Rolly did win the 12th round, but I would say that all in all, let me tell you the corruption part that I thought for the whole thing. When I saw the judges scored that fight, there's no way that fight was wide like that. You know what I'm saying? If you had 7-5 for Rolly or you had 7-5 for Marinez, that's as close as that fight was. It was a close fight. But when you start scoring fights, man, when you start scoring fights and the way how these judges are scoring fights, don't tell me that Rolly won 10 out of the 12 rounds. There's no way that happened. No way. That was not that fight we were watching at. Our judge scored at 118, 110. I'm like, what? You knew the fix was in. Another judge scored at 116, 112, 8-4. I'm like, this is not an 8-4 fight. Okay. So when I saw this kind of stuff, that's why they call it corruption in boxing. Okay, so you could say, all right, it's not really a robbery. You could say that. But even if you say it's not a robbery, you got to admit the judges' scorecards are so ridiculously wide that you feel like the fix is in. You know, and that's the kind of thing. And then people now will come and say, well, Floyd had his fights fixed. But then why didn't Badu Jack get the decision over so many fighters? Badu Jack always getting the wide end of the stick. And now the judges come and score a real whack thing. And now you want to know, if Mayweather promotion had something to do with this? Who had something to do with this? You know what I'm saying? Because it just don't look good on the sport. It don't look good. All right. Now, if you had a close scorecard or even a draw, you know what I'm saying? If they had drawn, I'd have been cool with that. If we had a close scorecard where a split decision, I wouldn't have been mad at it. You know, if they had a scorecard where, you know, okay, let's say they give it to Raleigh, but the scores are close, 7-5, 7-5, 7-5, or 6-6, 7-5, 7-5, a majority decision, right? I would be cool with it. But you blatantly, man, blatantly come out here and tell me 8-4, 10-2. Come on, man. Ain't nobody buying that bullshit. Something corrupt went on in the background. Something corrupt went on in the background. There's no way, no how that fight was anything like an 8-4 or 10-2. There's just no way. And this is what the fight fans see. We see this bullshit. And we say, what is going on with boxing? Okay, I don't care if it's Mayweather Promotions. I couldn't care less. This is wrong. All right? I can't buy that scorecard. Them judges had to be bought off. Because there's no way a judge watching a fight like that could ever score it for Rolly Romero. No way, man. No way. 92 AKU says, I only know Raleigh from the YouTube video where he says he whooped Ryan Garcia. 92 AKU, what's up, man? If you want to jump on here as a guest, you can feel free to do so. It'll be nice to hear your voice, at least, if we don't see your face. You know, so that's the corruption in boxing. That's the corruption in boxing. You know? And is that how Mayweather Promotions is going? Because they used to accuse Golden Boy, which, by the way, Oscar De La Hoya had a lot to say about that, right? Oscar was like, Raleigh ain't shit, and he's dissing Rolly Romero. Rolly Romero did very well. It's just that he loaded up on a lot of shots sometimes. I hope he would box more. But anyway, he was dissing Rolly Romero and talking about how corrupt Mayweather Promotions is. See, this is what happened. And you know Floyd Mayweather and Mayweather Promotions, they already, a lot of people hate them already, right? So anything they can get to go with that. Rolly Romero needs to do an immediate rematch with Jackson Marinez. Immediate rematch. Immediate. He ain't supposed to go on and do nothing else. Let's see. See, I remember when Canelo faced Erislandy Lara. And even though I thought Canelo won the fight, right? Everybody was claiming that Lara won the fight. Again, just like how Jackson Marinez keep on pumping his fists and pumping his hands as if he winning something, right? So that, I'm sure a lot of people feel it's a robbery because they see Marinez pumping his fists, and probably the commentator's scorecard, you know, they got it wide for Marinez. But I never saw it like that. I was watching that, what both fighters were doing in that ring and the work they were doing, and I was like, ooh, what a beautiful shot. Oh, yeah, that got blocked. You know, I'm commentating like that because I'm watching everything. But still, at the same time, when I look at the judges' scorecards, I said, ain't no way in hell them judges just score that fight. No way in hell. And that's the corruption in boxing. Come on, people. You know what it is. There's no way a judge could tell me that. And I know both guys had good defense. I know that what I looked at certain times, Raleigh had control of the fight. But most of the time, later on in the fight, it was Marinez that had control of the fight. You know what I'm saying? So anyway, hopefully Raleigh will not load up on his shots. Hopefully his corner helps him become a better fighter, because he can't continue like that at the premier level. He can't continue like that. He do good. He got good defense and everything, but you can't be loaded up in shots. The guys Guys can see you and what you want to throw long before. Hey, by the way, Rolly Romero had a nice, he threw a right hand followed by a spear jab, and that spear jab kept on catching Marinez. It was really good, but then Marinez started offsetting Rolly by jabbing him and catching him with left hooks and anticipating him as he was about to come in because he had to close the distance. Kind of threw Rolly off his game. But it was some good stuff Rolly was doing and some good stuff that Marinez was doing. I just want to say that. But we need to clean up the sport. And Rolly needs to do that rematch. He do the rematch and he beats Marinez, then okay. But if he do a rematch and he loses to Marinez, but Marinez need to get a shot at the interim title because it was taken away from him by the perception of the judges ruling that fight the wrong way, right? And I thought he won. Okay, that's just my personal opinion. I thought the fight was close, but I thought he won. Okay, with Rolly, and Rolly wasn't as effective as he was down the stretch. It's just what it is, as far as I'm concerned. However, it must be noted that that didn't bother me as much as the scoring of the fight. It's as if them judges didn't see nothing. One judge scored it for Romero close, 7-5. I'm cool with that. But to tell me two other judges saw it wide for Romero, I don't understand. I honestly don't. Some more news. Vasily Lomachenko expressed his desire to face Gervonta Tank Davis. And he made some more comments about Tank Davis as a businessman, talking about you trying to be too much of a businessman and you ducking me pretty much. He's like, you're ducking me, man. You know what I'm saying? So 92AKU says I was watching UFC. Cool for that. Man, Lomachenko came out and he said he was he wants Gervonta Davis. Now, Lomachenko has to face Teofimo Lopez. And quite frankly, if you want to ask me, I think he should focus most of his attention on Teofimo Lopez. The reason why I'm saying this is because that fight is a closer fight than people think. I was just listening to Tom Yankello, and he was saying the same thing I'm saying, that Teofimo Lopez has passed every single test that's been presented to him. He has pulled through, except for the Japanese kid who he did beat, but he was getting caught with. Teofimo Lopez has looked good in almost every single one of his fights. So for anybody to think, and showed he could go the distance as well, because he went 12 with the Japanese dude. But the point is, if anyone thinks that you can rule out Teofimo Lopez from this fight, he might shock everybody. So Lomachenko's going into the fight very confident. He thinks he can beat Teofimo Lopez easy. I don't know about that. Maybe Loma knows something we don't know. But as far as I'm concerned, Teofimo Lopez versus Lomachenko, I think Teofimo Lopez is very much a live dog in that. And we're going to see what really transpires in that fight. Now, a lot of people rate Loma very highly. I've already told you guys, I think I know the formula to beat Lomachenko. I've stated it a couple of times. I've stated what Lomachenko tries to do most of the time. We'll see if my thoughts are true. If Teofimo Lopez gives Loma a lot of problems or beats him, it would tell us that Lomachenko does have flaws, and there are things you can use to exploit him. 92 AKU says Loma gave away some of his purse, $800K, to fight Teo. So I heard, AKU. I don't know how true it is, but I know the fight's on now. So that's the good thing. And he gave away his purse. I don't know why. I would never do something like that. I would never take my opponent for granted like that. So I don't care what Loma knows about. I ain't giving my money away to another guy, But they're making the fight, so we'll see how what goes down with that. At least it sounds that way. It could be that Lomachenko's still going to get the purse he had, but ESPN didn't want to pay Loma, Teofimo Lopez, so maybe they worked through Loma to do it, because something about that don't make no sense. I would never do something like that. I don't think Lomachenko would, but anyway, whatever. The point is, at the end of the day, he wants Teofimo Lopez, and then after he beats Teofimo Lopez, he's talking about facing Gervonta Davis, I'm assuming at 130. This is why Gervonta Davis went to 130, and Gervonta Davis is facing probably Leo Santa Cruz. So the move may be He's trying to clash with Javante Davis, but he got to get past Teofimo Lopez first. So we'll see if he can do that. And then we'll see, if Javante Davis will get past Leo Santa Cruz, to be fair. So we'll see how that transpires and how that goes down. But that's some interesting news to hear Lomachenko talking about. Mr. Gary Russell Jr. Mr. Gary Russell Jr. Mr. Gary Russell Jr. has come out again and started talking. He's talking about how he's so serious to face Terrence Crawford. He called Al Heyman. Then he said something really ridiculous where he starts talking about how he was whooping Bernard Hopkins' ass when Bernard Hopkins came out of prison. So I as soon as he started talking about how he used to whoop Bernard Hopkins' ass, I shut off because Bernard Hopkins is a 160 pounder, okay? And he said at the age of 14, and there ain't no way some small little guy is beating some big dude, okay? And then Garrison Jr. goes on to say, Terrence and all them guys, all of you guys, you just y'all just with the organization or whatever, and y'all just fronting, y'all not real. And he said a lot of stupid ass stuff, if you ask me, okay? I'm sorry, but the dude be off his rocker, okay? Train hard, do what you do, but you ain't leaving. You're not leaving, all right? You're not leaving featherweight. Your little ass is going to stay down at 126. All that talking, you're not going to do shit. You're not going to face Terrence Crawford. You'd be a stupid ass to do that because he will murder you, okay? Gary Russell Jr., I don't care how fast your hands are, how fast your feet are. Terrence Crawford is a big fucking welterweight now, and he will fuck you the hell up. So if he wants to go ahead, press his luck, and end up in the medical hospital, that's on him, right? But Gary Russell's got to be out of his fucking mind if he thinks he can roll up on a welterweight like Terrence Crawford and he gonna survive. Your ass is gonna get grassed, Ninja. You will get smashed, okay? Your little ass couldn't knock out Terrence Crawford when y'all was even young. You gonna beat him up and you gonna do him something at welterweight? He don't even have to respect your fucking power. He can just walk right through you, okay? Intangible Boxing News. What's up, Intangible Boxing? Yo, if you want to jump on here, let me know. The link is in the chat section. Terrence Crawford would smash this motherfucker's ass. Gary Russell Jr., you are a 126 pounder. If you want to jump up to 130 like Leo Santa Cruz did, then do it. Otherwise, shut your little punk ass up. Shut your ass up. Stop talking about, oh, don't come by me and talk to me. What are you going to do to Bernard Hopkins? What are you going to do to that man? Man's 51 years old. You going to disrespect him by hitting him, punching him? Okay, go ahead, little chihuahua. Mess with the fucking pit bulls. See what they don't do you. He crazy, man. You great as a 126 pounder. Everybody got respect for you. What the fuck is wrong with Gary Russell Jr.? He crazy? You didn't drop the StreamYard link. You dropped the YouTube link. What? Oh, okay. It seems as though I have to go live to drop the StreamYard link. Okay, cool. Cool, I'm gonna drop it. Cool. That's all right. Mr. Gary Russell Jr., man, he out of his fucking mind, man. He losing his marbles. Okay, because I personally don't think he's all sane. He lost his damn mind, man. 1 second, I'm posting this up. Yo, I want to hear you guys' view on Mr. Gary Russell's crazy statement. Then he's gonna talk about how his brother, Antoine, how he fucked up Bernard Hopkins' son. And if you see him at any time, don't step to him. I'm like, what the fuck is wrong with this little chihuahua? He out of his fucking mind? Hold on. Okay. All right. Okay, cool. So the link should go into the chat right about now. Yeah. Let's keep it moving. Apollo, what's up, Ninja? Watched the Romero fight last night. Disgusting robbery. I wouldn't say it was a robbery, but it definitely was a fixed fucking fight, in my opinion. Because I thought the fight was close. But what the fuck was those judges thinking? I'm sorry about the F-bombs. Well, I'm on back out. No more F-bombs. Man, that's some crazy ass shit, Apollo. Some crazy ass shit. I just checked the Twitter feed. Aerosmith was appalled. Charla was appalled. And these are PBC fighters. Who the hell gets these fucking judges? How could Nevada State Athletic Commission commission these judges? What are they fucking judges? Are they getting paid on the side? What the fuck is going on? I don't understand it, man. Apollo, even if it's not a robbery. Hey, exactly, man. 118, 110, if fucking 116, 112. Get the fuck out of here, man. Oh, I'm sorry about the F-bombs. You know, that's corruption, man. Yeah, absolutely. I agree with you, Apollo. I agree with you 100%. This is one time where I agree with you. Raleigh said he gonna run it back. Okay, I don't blame Raleigh because it's not his fault. It's the judges that scored a fight, and I don't know if they got paid under the. I don't understand how these promoters influence these judges, but some shady shit went on there. Some shady shit went on there, and we must not, as fans, allow this shit to happen. I don't care who's the person. This is some shady shit. I don't give a fuck what nobody said. Apollo says, I feel bad for Marinez. Life-changing fight for him, but they robbed him. Well, I think they should just run it back because he give him his opportunity again. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying, okay, that he was robbed, but I'm just saying he fought a really, really good fight. Okay, he fought a really good fight. Kudos to him. He was a gentleman. He said he gave thanks to Raleigh Romero. He can't believe he didn't win the fight, which is understandable. Run it back. Raleigh said he gonna run it back. Run it back. Run that shit back. Hold on a second. Got a guest I got Intangible Boxing on here. Hold on. Don't forget to mute your mic first, Intangible. Boom.
How's it going?
Run it. I'm cool, man. I'm cool. We're just talking about corruption in boxing right here. And this is definitely corruption. I don't care what nobody said.
Yes, I watched that Romero fight. That was hilarious. Yeah, 118 to 110. I mean, look,
fuck out of here with that shit.
Look, even 115, 113 is, in my opinion, ridiculous. There is no way that you can score 10. That person must have just accidentally filled in the. That dude must have just accidentally filled in the rounds he lost.
It's clear that they got paid. This shit, somebody got paid. Because ain't no way in God's green earth, Raleigh Romero won 10 rounds. Fuck out of here. Hell no. Hell no.
To be honest, it's more likely he lost 10 rounds. He actually lost 10 rounds. Nah, he didn't lose 10 rounds. That was a competitive fight. And the other guy wasn't landing as much. Neither was Raleigh landing as much as people perceived. Raleigh was blocking a lot of those shots. He has a pretty good defense. And the guy has a pretty good jab. But I must say, no way. That fight was a closer fight. It was a close fight. I had it 7-5 for Marinez. I thought he controlled the fight in the latter parts of the fight, particularly. He controlled the fight very well. So, I mean, some people might even have scored it 8-4 because there are certain swing rounds I saw. Because Raleigh was coming on hard, especially to the end of a round. He would just pick it up and really. But I scored the fight 9-3 for that other dude. Like, Raleigh Romero, he had no rhythm coming into the fight. He was loading up on punches. He was swinging too wildly. He was overcommitting. He was looking for a home run. And the guy's jab was just too much. I'm just going to call him his first name, Jackson. That dude was... yeah, that fight was, in my opinion, a robbery.
Okay, cool. Apollo said the Canelo Floyd judge lady was in the building.
CJ Ross.
And Apollo says, if Rolly Romero runs it back, then he gets some respect. I agree. I think he needs to run that fight back. And I personally, I was impressed with both fighters, but I'm really going to look forward to seeing Marinez again. Yes, Jackson Marinez is the guy's name. He's trained by Robert Garcia Gym. And then we got the Rolly Romero, who's with Mayweather Promotions. But I don't like that. I don't like when people do these shady ass shit in boxing. I don't like it. And I feel some shady shit went down before that fight even happened. So that's my personal opinion. As a fight fan, I'm never going to support shit like that. Never. Okay? You know that. So I'm not defending that shit in any way, shape, or form. I don't care. Even if you guys thought that Rolly won that fight, which I didn't see him winning the fight. But even if you say, because there were certain swing rounds, right? It depends on what you were looking for. But even if you say, there's no way in God's green earth he's 10-2. Hell no. Not even 8-4. That fight, if anything, that fight's more like a draw to Jimenez winning. That's how I look at it. And that's just the way how it is. He controlled that fight, and he was the stronger guy. He pressed Rolly into the ropes when he was ready. I'm not saying that Rolly didn't have good defense. He had good defense. He was loading up, and he was telegraphing a lot of his right hands. But I love that after his right hand, he started throwing in the left jab, the spear jab off the right hand, would catch the guy with it. But then the other guy now, he started to double up his jab and throw the left hook behind his jab when Rolly tried to throw the right hand. And so he kind of stopped Rolly from coming in because he was the longer guy. But still, at the end of the day, it was something to watch. You know what I'm saying? And, what I mean by that is the other guy, I was looking to try and give Rolly some rounds. So the 7-5, I gave Rolly round, what was it? I gave him round 12. I think I gave him 4 of the earlier rounds before 6. And then I gave him round 12. The other guy took all the rest of the rounds, right? So that's how I got 7-5. But I'm gonna tell you right now, that guy deserved a rematch, immediate rematch, and so he can get his shot at the interim title. Ain't nothing else. Rolly can't do nothing else. You need to go rematch that dude. And Rolly's talking about rematching it. Mayweather Promotion may have a say, but Rolly need to make noise and say, no, I want a rematch, right? And he needs to rematch the guy. That's how I feel about that. And this is not like a Mayweather Castillo. Rolly clearly lost that fight, in my opinion. But anyway, it is what it is.
Yeah,
Yeah, go ahead. You go ahead.
Yeah, I also watched those two Uzbek prospects on the undercard of Cecilia Brækhus and Jessica McCaskill, Israel Madrimov and Shakram Giasov. Israel Madrimov didn't look very good. I've never been that high on him. I feel like his movement is excessive, and I also think his punches are wide and he loads up. And people who, like his opponent, Eric Walker, people who aren't going to be in awe of his volume and angles are going to see the forest through the trees and see what he does wrong, because he's wide open down the middle, and he's open to uppercuts to the solar plexus. He doesn't defend it very well. Fights with his hands down a bit too much. And also, Shakram Giasov is very good, in my opinion. I like that dude.
Fought with a lot of heart, man. Fought with a lot of heart. Some people, I was listening to the DAZN cast when it was said, I'm talking about Israel Madrimov fight with, what's the guy's name?
Eric Walker.
Eric Walker, right. That fight where he decked Eric Walker, some people were saying, well, it was a clean shot, but you saw him actually fall into the guy and push him down as well. At the same time.
But the damage that was dealt was due to a punch.
Doesn't matter.
Like, he would have gone down anyways.
The reason the referee made for calling it a slip was because, think about this.
I know.
You may knock out a guy, but if you nudge them and they slam their head against the canvas, now we don't know which one is the reason why they woozy. So that's why he called it a slip. That's what he was explaining. He clocked him for sure, but the guy was never going to fall back so hard because he fell into him and hit him with his shoulder. The guy slammed into the canvas. So that's why he said he had to call it a slip. But in the 12th round knockdown was a legitimate knockdown.
I didn't think the contact was quite enough to rule it a slip, but at the same time, like, even look at the knockdown that Madrimov scored. Like, why the hell is he committing so hard to that shot from that far out? I mean, that dude, it didn't even look like he was throwing a punch. It looked like he was doing a broad jump for the NFL Combine. Like, he leaped 7 feet, like, he leaped 7 feet across the ring just so he could land that left hand, that home run.
And being a southpaw, that was pretty interesting. I thought it was interesting that he threw his lead hand. But I'll say that that's a leaping lead left. It's crazy. But I will say this, though. He's strong. He's powerful. He's flawed, but he has some skill, and there's room for improvement. So we'll see what happens with him. It's still early in the game for him, The other guy was really game. I really liked it. He was fighting a hell of a fight. Yeah, actually, they didn't know if he was going to win or not until the next round. He knocked him down, but it was a game fight. Now, I didn't get to see that other fight you're talking about, the other fighter. I didn't get to see that yet, so I gotta go back and watch that one. I don't know how good he was. What do you think of the?
Giasov knocked him out with a body shot to the liver. Now, the interesting part about it, though, was Giasov said that he could feel his knuckle inside the glove making contact with his opponent's liver. He could feel the liver.
Okay, cool. I don't know how true that is, because I don't know how true that is. Your liver's protected by your ribs, so I don't know about that. But anyway, going back to what we was talking about that, we had Michael Conlan over the weekend, and we also had Carl Frampton over the weekend. What did you think of Carl Frampton's performance?
Did about what I expected him to do. Won the fight against a kind of like a lower-ish level European guy. Michael Conlan, he's just all right in my opinion. Nothing special, nothing too great. Just all right. Nothing bad about him. It doesn't have much power. Throws a lot of arm punches. Doesn't have...
really?
Yeah, throws a lot of arm punches. In my opinion, doesn't have the best technique when it comes to throwing his punches. Not a ton of power, but it's all right. That's pretty much my thoughts about him. It's just all right.
Okay. Well, my opinion about him is I was pretty impressed that he could switch from orthodox to southpaw. I was also impressed that his body shots were really nice body shots until he strayed low, and he almost got DQ'd for straying low. I think that took away from his fight. I think he broken down that guy. I like his sharp punching. His punch is pretty sharp, and I don't see arm punches. I actually see more. He turns into his punches quite well, I think. I would like to see him get the knockouts, but I think the problem with him is that he may be a little too anxious. Sometimes guys rush a shot, and I think he rushes some of his shots. So it's kind of like Tank. Tank is now starting to settle down and really put leverage into his shots and make his shots count. Tank always trying to blitz guys out of there, sometimes using, like you say, unnecessary power. Sometimes you don't need to just like do all this extra stuff. Some throwback fighters used to just throw. No, you're burning energy. Take your time, pace yourself, break the guy down. And I think Conlan, he's still amateurish in that respect. He's not trying to break the guys down. He more trying to get him out of there and trying to blitz everything. You can't do that. But he's nice and sharp. He's sharp. And I would say that given the situation that happened to him on the verge of a DQ, he had to kind of pick his shots. But the guy was there to be knocked out. But and I like what Frampton did as well. Frampton, I love that left hook he hit the guy with to stop the fight.
Conlan also said he's moving down to 122. I don't see him beating Akhmadaliev, although I think he'd do all right in that fight. Ray Vargas, I'm not really sure. And I don't think he would do very well against Daniel Roman. I think Daniel Roman is not a good style matchup for him. I can't say. Because I think a guy is going to be able to counteract. As you stated, he did throw a lot of shots kind of out of anxiety, trying to knock him out without a lot of the power. But, I mean, those kind of shots that he was throwing, Daniel Roman's volume is going to be too much for him. I feel like his shots are just going to get in between a lot more easily.
What do you think of his defense?
Michael Conlan's?
Yep.
It's all right.
It wasn't bad.
It wasn't.
I mean,
bad,
the guy he was facing was a dead guy anyway, but still.
Yeah, it was. The guy was a European level. He's not even a really high level European fighter. He doesn't even win titles on a high level at European level.
Right.
His defense is all right. He controls the distance fairly well. Knows how to wrap up. Knows how to smother. Knows how to stifle his opponent. But you're nothing special, honestly.
I like how he moved off the ropes though. When the guy got him in the corner off the ropes, how he changed distance by snapping back, bouncing off the ropes, and then rolling off the ropes. I thought it was pretty nice.
Also, though, I feel like his defense is also a bit amateurish. He relies on his straight punch and volume off of that to get away from opponents. And that's my thing. I haven't seen him against a guy who knows how to apply methodical volume. Even Angelo Leo, who beat Tremaine Williams for the title, I think he would provide a lot of issues for him because he'd get inside of him and he'd try to bully him around. And he's a good inside fighter in his own right.
But I heard Michael Conlan can fight on the inside as well. I heard so. That's what the commentators
he
are saying.
Can.
I don't know. Okay, he can. Okay. I want to see this guy. He has a lot of potential to me. Just having a first look at him, I think he has potential. I don't really know yet because I haven't seen level of opposition that could really show us if his skills will stand up to the test. But he does have a lot of potential. That's my personal opinion of looking at him from a first glance. And I kind of figured the opponent was a dead one anyway. The guy didn't really want to be in the ring with him. But, you know, that's still something that it's a question from Apollo in the chat section. Apollo asked, do you think that Carl Frampton will get a world title back?
No. If he's moving up to 130, I see Herring beating him.
How about a rematch with Santa Cruz?
Rematch with Santa Cruz? I don't think that's very realistic. I feel like Santa Cruz is kind of done with him. Santa Cruz is kind of going for paydays now. He's going to be fighting Tank next. The Herring fight is scheduled to happen, and if Frampton loses that fight, maybe they can get sort of like a grudge match between he and Santa Cruz, but at the same time, it's like, what's the point, really?
I mean, what's the point? Best of 3?
Sort of. Although I feel like the timing of the best of 3 just isn't very good. The first 2 fights are very competitive, but you wait 4 other years for 3 years. Actually, yes, 4 years, because it'd be 2021 when the fight occurs. You're waiting for another 4 years to have a grudge match.
Why not? I mean, think about it. In the history of rematches, something like that happens all the time, but usually it's in a different weight class, which they're in a different weight class. So why not? I mean, they came up from super bantamweight and then they're up here now. So why not? I mean, I don't see a problem with it. I mean, Mike Tyson and Roy Jones Jr. is happening, and they're 50-something years old. That's what I'm saying. Warrington versus Frampton in an empty area. I don't know if Frampton wants any piece of Warrington, and plus Warrington's so small now.
What's Warrington?
Warrington's at 122. Isn't Warrington at 126?
Yes.
126.
Warrington whooped Frampton's ass when they fought. No.
Yeah, it was brutal.
Josh Warrington is very underrated in my opinion. I think he is the best out of the champions at 126. At this point, even better than Gary right now. Gary, I think, is sort of on the decline. I saw his fight against Nyambayar. He was getting touched up to the body late and was starting to slow down.
Yeah, but Nyambayar is a good fighter, though.
He is good, but I also think he's much slower than Warrington. He doesn't have Warrington's volume. Warrington isn't as powerful, but Warrington has a more dedicated attack. He's much quicker on his feet, uses a lot of angles, can sort of box a little bit, has an improving jab.
He's not training with his trainer before. He's training now with what's this Ben
Davison.
Ben Davison now, so he may be doing something different.
I think that's Josh Taylor. Actually, you're confusing him with.
Oh, it's Josh Taylor away with Ben Davison. Okay.
Yeah,
my bad.
Very bad move because Ben Davison is just a glorified. That dude is just a glorified motivational speaker. Doesn't give any good corner advice whatsoever. This guy was telling Tyson Fury in the corner against Wilder, you can win this fight exclusively with your jab. And he got dropped just later on.
Yeah, but that has nothing to do with him using exclusively his jab. He got the reach advantage. So I agree. Ben Davis is very cerebral, in my opinion. I thought he was a good trainer. I just think Tyson Fury changed trainers for a specific reason. So he wanted a specific way of beating Deontay Wilder. And he got what he wanted. So, but I think that, like you were saying, Gary, did you hear what Gary Russell was saying? This guy's talking about going up to welterweight and trying to beat Terrence Crawford. This guy, like, I'm hearing some really ridiculous things, man. That's what Gary Russell was saying. And I'm saying, well, you at 126, you should be trying to get a fight with Josh Warrington. You should be trying to get a fight with, somebody at 122. Got Angelo Leo there now. Get a fight with one of those guys. Nope. Wait, Angelo Leo's not there. Sorry, my bad. Angelo Leo is a weight class below. I don't understand it. He's talking about all these guys. Next thing I hear, he's talking about how at 14 he was whooping Bernard Hopkins' ass, and I'm like, what? Did you? Are you going to exaggerate everything now? There's no way.
I feel like there's just not a lot of fights for him as well, because the Leo fight just has never materialized. Josh Warrington fight, they've never been in talks. That fight seems difficult to make. And what's the likelihood? He could have gotten a fight with
Stevenson. He could have gotten a fight with Stevenson.
Well, he's already moved up. And what's the likelihood of him fighting Navarrete after he beats Magdaleno?
That'd be good.
Not very likely, in my opinion. And Navarrete could win the fight depending on how good he looks at the weight class. I'd actually pick Navarrete to beat Russell. I think his body work and I think his volume and his ability to ease his way into the fight is going to be too much. He's going to do exactly what Nyambiar did, but he's going to start quicker. He's going to start off in the third and fourth rounds, and he's going to break Russell down, and he's going to win a decision in that fight. Navarrete is very skilled, and he can move around the ring. He's got a longer reach than Russell. He's much bigger than Russell in terms of frame. Russell has a good jab, but he's going to take that away from him, in my opinion, with his.
Oh, okay, we'll see. I don't know. I can't say, but I would love to see Gary Russell face anybody who's anybody at 122. He ain't faced nobody. Well, yeah, he did face Jojo Diaz. I can't say that.
He has fought Jojo Diaz, Johnny Gonzalez, Tuxdot MBR,
and that guy, what's
Pico Martinez, Oscar Escandón. He's fought some good names, not good enough though, and Lomachenko. I actually rescored that fight recently. Yeah. I rescored Lomachenko versus Russell. I had that fight 11-1 for Loma.
I don't know what you've seen, bro. I saw it close.
I didn't.
I saw a very close fight.
I saw the first 6 rounds as competitive, but then I saw the last 6 rounds as a complete shutout.
I'll go back and rescore, but I didn't see it like that. But talking about a few more things, we got a lot to talk about. Daniel Dubois called out Dillian Whyte. He wants Dillian Whyte after he faces Joe Joyce. Dillian Whyte, of course, is going to be facing Alexander Povetkin. Let me hear your picks and choices on those guys. What do you think? Daniel Dubois on Dillian Whyte.
Dillian Whyte wins right now. I'm still waiting to see how Dubois does on Joyce. I think he beats Joyce, but he hasn't fought anybody who hooks the way Whyte does, who even has the skills that Whyte does, and has the jab that Whyte does. Really anything that Whyte has, honestly. Except for maybe footwork that Gorman had, but I'd pick Whyte at this point.
So you think Whyte's going to beat Povetkin?
It's a great fight. I'm going to edge Dillian Whyte right now, but Alexander Povetkin has a great shot.
Really?
Yes.
Povetkin. The Povetkin we saw against Huey Fury? That Povetkin?
Michael Hunter. No, not the one that we saw against Huey Fury, but Michael Hunter. I think that guy has a legit chance.
So you thought Alexander Povetkin beat Michael Hunter? Let me hear you now.
I had the fight a draw. I had the fight a draw.
Okay.
Dillian Whyte actually just got rid of his trainer. And, I mean, on top of that, his balance isn't very good. I think Povetkin could ice him early. If he catches him with the right hand to the temple and is able to buzz him in the early rounds, or he could even stop him late, because one thing with Povetkin, he's great early on. He gets off to fast starts. He's bad in the middle rounds. He takes rounds off, but then he comes back on in the later rounds. He tends to get a second wind. Whyte tends to be good in the early to he does tend to be good in the early to middle rounds, talking about Whyte, but he tends to gas out late. He could take advantage of that late. Whyte's best chance, in my opinion, is to go to the body in the middle rounds, wear him down, and stop him in the 9th, 10th round, which is what I'm leaning towards. But if Povetkin catches him with the right hand, he could ice him. That's all I'm saying. And look, I understand Povetkin's advanced age, but I mean, look what Chisora was able to do to him. Chisora hurt him. Chisora was catching him with right hands over the top in the midst of Whyte's pivots and getting out of the line. He doesn't get off the line very quickly. And him moving backwards off of his jab, if he tries to do what he did against Oscar Rivas, Povetkin's going to do that's going to play into Povetkin's hands, because his main thing is bobbing and weaving, head movement, and getting inside and throwing hooks. And Whyte does not have the head movement to evade them. So I think Whyte is going to have to take this fight to the phone booth, try to stand his ground off with his jab, but he's going to have to withstand punishment early.
Okay. Well, my thoughts on that is simple. But first, let me just give Apollo's opinion. Apollo says, Daniel reminds me of a Frank Bruno, but Dylan smokes him now. Joe Joyce gets smoked by Daniel, though. And Apollo says also, Joe is slower than my grandmother and can get hit by some big shots. Not good if you're getting hit by Daniel. So that's his thing with Joe Joyce. I think Joe Joyce has an interesting activity. I don't care about his speed so much as his timing and his activity and his volume. Because a lot of Mexican fighters, you know, they're not the fastest guys in the world, but they pick it up and they intensify their pressure and their volume as time goes along. And if you got the fundamentals, a good jab, you know, it could be an interesting fight with Joe Joyce. I mean, Joe Joyce versus Daniel Dubois is going to be a good fight, like you said. We have to see if Daniel Dubois can get past Joe Joyce, and if Dillian Whyte can get past Alexander Povetkin, you know. But it's too well. Povetkin is going to be the next. Dillian Whyte seems to be on a succession of fighting older guys. So Povetkin is another 30-something-year-old. I think he's 38, something like that. He's an old guy. And Whyte's going to try and take advantage of that situation. We'll see how it goes. I don't think Povetkin has a lot more left in the tank, so we'll see how it goes with that. Because Michael Hunter was whooping his ass. And Michael Hunter got tired later on, and it was just a big misfest. Nobody was really landing anything. And then when I saw Povetkin against, and when I remember Povetkin against Hughie Fury, that was sloppy as fuck. And Hughie Fury again made Povetkin more look like an amateur, but the Furies generally make people look terrible. But
that fight was so garbage. It came down to punches in the clinch. Like that fight was
with a couple right hands, because Fury would try to really land the right hand and come up short, and Povetkin would get a catch it. But it was really like such a trashy fight. Now, I'm not gonna lie; they look sloppy.
That fight and Easter Bartholomew were two of the worst fights last year. The Easter Bartholomew fight might get the slight edge, but that fight was very bad. Horrible fight by Hughie Fury.
Yeah, both of them. It's a terrible performance. But I'll say this: I'll say that. Let's see what Povetkin has in the tank. I favor Whyte to win because he's the younger, fresher guy. That's it. There's nothing else to it.
Yeah,
if Povetkin actually comes out and beats him, because Povetkin to me he looked like dog shit for the last two fights, right? And so I think he's on his last, and Whyte's getting to clean him up. If Whyte does not beat this dude, then Whyte really ain't all that.
I
And
don't think he looked like dog shit against Michael Hunter, though. That's the thing. Michael Hunter is a good fighter. Michael Hunter was able to beat a good prospect in Sergey Kuzmin at the weight, and he was also at cruiserweight very successful in his own right. He fought Usyk. He whooped Ilunga Makabu's ass.
I'm not saying
And in
no.
my
I'm
opinion,
just saying
if he were to compete in the World Boxing Super Series, he probably would have been the man
but
of
you
this
don't get
tournament.
it. My point is that Povetkin was getting his ass beat by Michael Hunter. Like he was beating him up like if he ate something, right? And then Michael Hunter ran out of steam and he wasn't really landing his punches. So if you want to say that Povetkin won this fight off of Michael Hunter getting tired, that's basically what happened.
I didn't have him winning the fight.
Or he drew the fight off of Michael Hunter getting tired. It wasn't because of Povetkin that, this was Michael Hunter's problem. You know what I mean?
That was early on in the fight.
I didn't see anything Povetkin did in that fight. Honestly, I didn't see anything. Yeah,
that was early on in the fight. That was early on in the fight in the first or second round when Michael Hunter started throwing blazing fast combinations. Dillian Whyte can't do that. Dillian Whyte is not a combination puncher. He relies on one punch, typically, to get you out of there or to hurt you. He's not going to stagger you with the volume of punches that Hunter threw.
He's not a hard hitter. He's not really hard. He got a nice left hook, but he's not really a hard hitter. Because otherwise, he would have knocked out Robert Hernandez. He was going to the body religiously with Robert Hernandez. He couldn't stop it. So, I mean, Dillian Whyte's not really as advertised. He got a decent left hook. He caught Derek Chisora when Derek Chisora was in his ass, beating him up. And Chisora just didn't pay attention, and he got dropped.
And also, when you mentioned Hunter gassing out, Whyte also gasses out himself. He has serious issues with stamina, and he can only really go and expend full energy until the 8th round. Afterwards, he gets tired. He got hurt in the 12th round against Parker, was hanging on for dear life.
Yeah, Parker was about to stop him. But we'll see. I think because Dillian Whyte's the younger dude, he should win, because I'm going by age. Povetkin, hell of a fighter and everything, but I think he's at the end of his line, and I think Dillian Whyte just happens to be the opportunist to probably finish his career. But I would say that Dubois, we'll see what happens. Dubois is younger than Dillian. Obviously, he wants to go challenge himself. But if I was Dubois, I'd be studying Joe Joyce, and if I was Dillian, I'd be studying Povetkin, but it is what it is. Poopy Sistrunk in the chat says, happy Sunday, everyone. Apollo says, I don't care. Whyte will whoop Hunter and Povetkin on the same night. Psst. That's what he says. All right, respect to you on that. And Apollo says, who do you think Andy Reid should fight? Yeah, he should whoop Dillian Whyte's ass. Andy Ruiz is a problem. For Dillian Whyte and Andy Ruiz, that should be a hell of a fight. Andy Ruiz is fast. I guess Dillian Whyte would use footwork or something, but Andy Ruiz is so fast with his hand-foot combinations. I don't know, man. I don't know. That would be an interesting fight.
Dillian Whyte he's a guy who's maximized the gifts that he's been given. He's not the most gifted heavyweight. He really isn't. Isn't the most coordinated, doesn't have the best speed, isn't even the strongest guy. He is strong. He's not the most strong guy. He's not the greatest athlete at all. Doesn't have the foot speed.
He's not the greatest puncher. None of that. He's living off of boxing fundamentals.
But what he's done,
a little bit of smarts, ring IQ.
He's got some roughness, got that little competitive edge to his game, and also like you said, the technique in his game. He's been working with his trainer in the past, and you could just see the developments fight by fight. He's working with his jab a lot more. He was practicing his catch and shoot against Marius Falk, although he looked bad in that fight. He was out of shape, however.
Yeah.
Honestly, though, this is unpopular to many, but I still think Wilder would body Dillian Whyte.
That's not unpopular.
I know, but I've actually got people have legitimately gotten mad at me for saying that I think Wilder would just body Dillian Whyte. I don't see why.
My thing is this, though. I don't understand why the WBC and all these sanctioning, or the WBC particularly, they won't let him get his shot. Let him get his shot. That's all I'm saying, right? The guy's lined up there. That's why we talk about corruption in boxing. Why can't you let the guy get his shot? That's all I'm saying. I think Tyson Fury knocks his ass out. I'm just being honest. Okay, those premier elite. He's not. He's what we call Dillian Whyte is he got the elite heart at hand. You know, heart wise, he don't have the skills like them guys because he don't have the amateur background like those guys.
I think Fury beats Whyte on points. I don't think he stops.
Oh, he knocks him the fuck out. If Fury comes in 270, oh shit, he gonna knock him out. He gonna knock him out because he's a big dude.
Whyte might come in at 260. Generally, in his bigger fights, if you look at the Parker fight, if you look at the Rivas fight, he's coming at about 260. He'd only be at a 10-pound disadvantage. And I don't think he can fight him the same way he fought Wilder because he's much more accustomed to getting in the phone booth than Wilder.
But the thing
I think Whyte is
White's going to be more. White's going to be more of a stationary target,
and Wilder isn't.
For Fury to pummel. If Fury want to knock him out, he can knock him out because Fury didn't knock out anybody, right? He didn't knock out the guy that fought over this weekend. Forgot what his name is.
Otto Wallin.
Southpaw. Right. Otto Wallin. He didn't knock out Otto Wallin, right? He didn't knock out the guy before him. So I'm just saying, he's not known to knock out people, but if he train and get himself ready, he will knock you out. Yeah, he knock you out. And I don't see why he can't knock out Dillian Whyte. Dillian Whyte's Otto Wallin got some things, man. He got some skill that Dillian Whyte don't have, right? He could do a couple of things. Fury had to use his size and weight on Otto Wallin, and he'll do the same thing on Dillian Whyte. Dillian Whyte does just enough to call him an elite boxer. He does just enough. But obviously,
I don't think he's elite. I only think there's two elite heavyweights. That's Joshua and Wilder. He's on the second tier. He's
up there. We could call him elite. He did enough. He beat enough people to be called elite. Former WBO champion and so on. He did enough to be called elite, I think. He has mastered nothing. He's not really great at anything. He's just like, there. He's on the cusp. He's good in all the right areas to be considered that. And you gotta call him elite because he's done enough to be called that, I think. But it's like, from what I hear about him and stuff, he's supposed to be up there with those guys. So he should get his championship shot, whether it's Tyson Fury, whether it's Wilder, whoever wins this matchup, hopefully this year or whenever. They're talking about maybe getting a unification first before facing him, and he's like, "Nah, I want my mandatory spot." He don't care. He just want. He don't care if the person was undisputed or not. He wanted his title shot. So it's like, all right, cool. But I don't like I said to you before. I don't really see him as Wilder is just too quick for him. He's too fast. So that 1-2 would come at an angle. Whyte wouldn't know what happened. He wouldn't even know when the fight is over.
Well, here's the problem.
They'll be waking him up.
The guys that Whyte has faced don't punch as hard as Wilder, and all the top fighters that he's fought are around his size. Parker's, I think, 6'5", an inch taller than Whyte. Rivas is around the same size. Wilder is going to be punch harder than them. He's going to have the longer reach. He's going to set up his punches better. He's going to be a more willing attacker, taller. He's going to catch him.
So fast. People forget how quick Wilder is. He's like, it's just, and that's it. It's all over.
Isn't quick on his feet, but he has very fast hands.
Oh, he's pretty quick on his feet. That's how he got Tyson Fury in the 12th round. He skipped in, and then he hit him with a right hand, left foot. Oh, he's pretty quick.
Well, he moves in at a pretty sudden. He moves in at a pretty sudden pace, but his balance is not good. That's his issue.
Against Tyson Fury, I don't think he was expecting to have to go backwards. But generally his balance is not that bad. I mean, I've seen him box guys all the time. I think, like I said before, I think Tyson Fury surprised him. The game plan was not that. And so they were just caught completely with their pants down. I think, but Ben Davison even broke it down and said something like how Tyson Fury was negating Wilder's jab and how he had changed up his stance to deal with Wilder. So I think Tyson Fury decided he was going to walk Wilder down the entire fight, and that was that. Nothing Wilder could do about it. He's a smaller guy on the inside. Tyson Fury's the bigger guy, so he could just rough him up on the inside. And Fury figured it out, And we saw what Wilder could do. He dropped Fury twice in the previous fight. So it's not like, I mean, Dillian Whyte will not have the size advantage. He won't have that, he won't have the quickness because Wilder gets into position, he's reading you know, and then it's all over. So, and he won't have the length, he won't have the reach. I just don't see how Dillian Whyte would beat Wilder.
Same.
And Dillian Whyte's a smart boxer. He's smart, but I just don't see him beating him. I don't see him beating him, especially after Tyson Fury just beat Wilder here. Wilder's gonna come back better, I think. I don't know if he could ever beat Tyson Fury. I don't think that's a style or fighter he can beat. I think he has chances against everybody else. I don't think he'll ever beat Tyson Fury. That's all.
I agree.
That's my personal.
I think Whyte could give Fury a little bit of issues because guys who tend to pressure him at an awkward style do tend to give him issues, and he's probably not looking. He's probably going to be looking ahead of that fight by the time it occurs. I think the fight will go to the cards, and I think Fury will take over later on. Although it could be a Derek Chisora-like fight. Maybe he does toy with him. Who knows? Yeah,
because Fury is much bigger than him, height-wise, size-wise, and he can really rumble. Fury really was well schooled. He could really box. So it would be one of those things where, as a guy that probably could give Fury problems is a guy from Russia that's coming up on the scene. He's the guy that knocked out Deontay Wilder. You got to look out for that Russian guy. He got an overhand right that's mean. But we'll see how. Forgot what his name is, but he's coming on the scene as well. There are a couple of guys coming on the scene, new guys, so you got to look out for them.
I don't think he fought Wilder, but are you talking about Arslanbek Makhmudov?
Something like that. I can't remember his
name. Arslanbek Makhmudov is a scary dude. Like, his face is scary, and he's got a devastating right hand.
He reminds me of Artur Beterbiev.
Yeah. I think they're trained under the same guy, Mark Ramsey. Mark Ramsey's a really good trainer, very underrated in my opinion. Yeah, if you look at the guys who, I think the heavyweight division has probably the best prospects in boxing. There are a lot of guys there that I just really like.
Yeah, there's a lot actually of skill coming up, not just in that division, but all around. I started to look at some of the newer guys coming in, and I'm somewhat impressed by these young guys. Shout out to the chat section. Apollo says Whyte has come so far, but it's hard to say how he would do against top competition when these organizations aren't letting him test himself. I agree. I think the WBC needs to give him his title shot. And I don't think Tyson Fury, I think Bob Arum's trying to push for Tyson Fury versus Wilder before the end of the year. But I don't think Tyson Fury should take a tune-up fight. It's either going to face Dillian Whyte or he should face Wilder or AJ. That's what I think he should do. That's just my opinion. I don't know. What's your opinion on that? I don't think he should take any stay busy fights. And he's always in shape and everything now.
Tyson Fury?
Yeah.
He should take the Whyte fight next, the Wilder fight, then the Whyte fight, and then the Joshua fight. Because the WBC stipulated to him that he has to take the Dillian Whyte fight or else he's going to be stripped. No franchise, no nothing. He's just going to be stripped in its entirety. But
I heard that they're allowing him a voluntary. I just heard they would allow him a voluntary if he didn't want to face Dillian Whyte this year.
Joshua, it seems, he's going to fight Pulev next. I give Pulev a 0% chance of winning that fight. Literally a 0% chance. There's no way in which he's going to win the fight. And probably Usyk. I like Usyk a lot. I used to think he'd be very good at heavyweight, but I think the wear and tear is just too much on him, honestly.
Really? I'm looking forward to this fight. He said I think he wants to face Derek Chisora. So he was mocking Chisora. He was like, Chisora. He's calling him out all the time. Yeah. I like it. It's entertaining. And he's doing dances and Fortnite dances and shit.
There are certain guys I think would just be too much for Usyk at heavyweight. And there are certain guys I think he'd just run through. Derek Chisora, I think he's going to dominate that fight.
I think him and Michael Hunter could actually do really well. Well, Michael Hunter needs to work on his conditioning, but he and Michael Hunter would do very well in the heavyweights. I think they're bad news for the heavyweight division. And they will prove me right in time. I think that those two guys have everything it takes to beat every single heavyweight in the heavyweight division, including Deontay Wilder.
In my opinion, the best guys coming up at heavyweight. Well, one is a cruiserweight, Evgeny Tishchenko. All these guys are sort of at an advanced stage in their life, though, so it's kind of hard for me to estimate. They're in the mid to late 20s. Tony Yoka, Filip Hrgovic, and Victor Vikhurst. Victor Vikhurst is a Ukrainian prospect. He fought on the undercard, or not on the undercard, but on an Usyk promotional fight that occurred, I believe, in Ukraine or Russia or something like that. Okay. But that was a card that I actually recently watched. It included him, Vladislav Serenko, and Alexander Zakozy. 3 heavyweight prospects. Vikhurst looked great. I mean, I think he's a great fighter. He's got sort of like a, and I know that one thing that kind of does bother me is I hate how every single Eastern European or white heavyweight prospect is every single comparison of theirs is he's like a young Vitaly. He's like a young Vladimir. He's like a baby Klitschko. But honestly, he does remind me somewhat of a younger Klitschko. He's been knocked out in the amateurs. Well, I mean, that's one trait of Vladimir. His chin was just it was an atrocity. He's got good but he threw combinations sort of like a young Klitschko. He extended his guard in a similar manner, changes level similarly, relies behind his jab, but he's very good. He's got good power. Zakozy looked not so great. He's 6'9", only 22, 23 years old. He's very young, but he got rocked in that fight and was starting to get pieced up later on, and his stamina just did not hold up. Also Vladislav Serenko, a big puncher, he got rocked in that fight, in his fight at least. And so, I like Vikhurst. I don't like really those other guys. But, yeah, there are some heavyweight prospects that I do generally really like.
Yeah, there's a lot coming up, not just heavyweights, but in every single division, like I said before. And I'm starting to pay attention to this new generation of fighters that are coming out. Some of them you get interviews with Elisek Back or with Fight Hype or with Fight Hub. So it's interesting. I'm just watching how these fighters develop, what they will do, how their careers pan out. Apollo says, I'd like Whyte to face Fury instead of Wilder fight. In my opinion, I don't want Whyte to get dominated low. I guess he's a Whyte fan. Let's go on to the next topic. So there's all kinds of topics. I was just talking about Gary Russell Jr. Oscar De La Hoya responding to Rolly Romero's win. He says, man, Rolly ain't shit. Basically, I'm paraphrasing. And that he would not be a problem for Ryan Garcia. Ryan Garcia is so crisp and much faster. And he went on to say how that was such a corrupt thing, and it shows on Mayweather Promotions. And not too long before that, he was talking about how he gives Mayweather respect in a WBC interview yesterday. I think it was yesterday or the day before. He gave Mayweather respect because he thought that he was one of the most precise punchers out there, and his timing was so very precise. He said that's what's so great about Mayweather. So that was Oscar De La Hoya. What do you guys think about Oscar De La Hoya's comments? Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't realize he disappeared. So me personally, I mean, I'm not going to say anything too much about Oscar's comments, except that Oscar is guilty of doing this very same thing. And sometimes Top Rank too. Okay, Top Rank with the case of Gavaliauskas versus Ray Robinson. Matchroom with Ray Robinson versus what's that kid's name? Josh Kelly. Oscar De La Hoya with Canelo versus Floyd. Oscar versus Floyd. Canelo versus, well, no, I ain't got to say nothing about Canelo, but it allegedly Canelo versus Lara. You know, I think that these promotional companies need to stay out of judging fights, quite frankly. And the newest one to this now is Mayweather Promotions. I feel like the judges are trying to please these guys or something, but at the end of the day, I don't know what the hell goes on in them judges' heads, but they scoring that fight wrong. And Rolly Romero did not win that fight. We have here that Apollo says Oscar was on coke last night. Oh my God. Roy Jones Jr. versus Mike Tyson. I was watching some training videos with Tom Yankello. Tom Yankello also being interviewed concerning Lomachenko versus Teofimo Lopez, and he's saying don't count Teofimo Lopez out. He gave Lomachenko a 60-40% decision. But we will see. I was watching at the training that Roy Jones Jr. is doing for Mike Tyson, and one of the things I noticed Tom Yankello doing was he was allowing Roy to use his footwork to move out and then back in. So you go out and then back in. And I thought that was very interesting. The way in which he's doing his in and out is different. And it kind of reminded me a little bit of what Jackson Marinez was doing to Rolly Romero, that in and out movement where you're varying range. You're near, you're far, you're near, you're far. So I thought that was great. Apollo says, serious question. Old ass Oscar versus McGregor. Who wins? Oscar. Oscar will knock him out. Clean. It'll take him about 5 rounds. So, you know, Roy is showing what kind of strategy, and his hand speed is pretty blistering, and he's doing the blistering speed with power. So you can see he's really working on his power as well. And Roy said his hand speed was going to be a factor in that fight with Roy Jones Jr., and he wasn't playing. He was absolutely incontrovertibly correct on that. Shout out to Intangible Boxing for passing through, expressing his opinions. Shout out to Apollo in the chat section. One more piece of news. Terrence Crawford response to Keith Thurman and Kell Brook. Obviously, Kell Brook offered his services. Keith Thurman was talking about challenging Terrence Crawford. B-Mac, he was saying that Terrence Crawford and their team, they're working on a Manny Pacquiao fight, trying to make that a reality. When asked about Terrence Crawford versus Manny Pacquiao, Tom Yankello, he said that he would give Terrence Crawford the win. That's a dangerous fight for Manny Pacquiao. He said Triple G fight is an easier fight for Manny Pacquiao. And I don't know if Terrence Crawford will land that Manny Pacquiao fight, but that's a good fight for him. I think that if he can land it, man, go for it. You know, stay focused on the Pacquiao fight, trying to make it happen. Because the other competitor competing for the Manny Pacquiao fight at this point in time is Mikey Garcia, who's also free. Sean Porter got somebody. Errol Spence is going to be facing Danny Garcia, so this is what it is. Keith Thurman ain't got nobody, so Keith Thurman be yelling out everybody. I say, Keith Thurman, why don't you face Kell Brook? Since both of y'all don't got nobody. Keith Thurman versus Kell Brook, 2 big welterweights. The final thing I want to talk to you guys about here is Sheila Brackets now was going to have matched 25 defenses, just like how the great Joe Louis had 25 defenses, but she failed to do it, losing to Jessica McCaskill. Nonetheless, she was very classy about it in her loss. Congratulating Jessica McCaskill for the win. I had to see the whole entire fight before I can really make a judgment. She was 38 years old, and she had been fighting for a good period of time. Apollo says McGregor versus Pac-Man might actually happen. I don't know about that. You know, if they want to have the fight, they can have it, you know, but I think whatever Manny Pacquiao feels like doing, he can do. We'll see what happens. But I like how classy Cecilia Braekhus was. Unfortunately for her, she did not get the victory. I had to see the fight really fully, but from the highlights I saw, I thought she won based on the highlights, but that's the highlights. So you just never know. So that's what I got for you guys for now. Apollo. Shout out to Intangible Boxing, Kubi Sistrum, Asylum, or Aslam, sorry, my bad. And 92 AKU. Shout out to each and every one of you guys, man. I'm what you need. You've been watching this channel. If you like what you see, don't forget to hit the like button. You can subscribe to my channel, as well as you can share my videos. And you can also donate via Western Union. We out. Peace.